Hey everyone! Like the title says, I'm going to be talking about the 7 main characters in my work in progress story, Imaginary Heroes. I'll talk about their personalities, relationships with other characters, backstories without spoilers, and of course the synopsis of my story. I'm also going to be giving general channel updates, which I'll do now before I talk about my OCs. For now, have a mini comic without context in the background about Juleka and Stardust while I talk, which I will talk about them here soon. Put this video on while you're drawing or something, cause I'll be yapping a lot. First off, this video is really long, so I won't be writing out subtitles, so I'm sorry guys. I will also be mixing a bit of talking with and without a script for this video, just generally saying what's on my mind, so expect things to be sporadic. I have super important updates and news to give to you guys, so I'd appreciate if you stayed in the beginning of this video, but if you can't wait, here's the timestamp for when I start talking about my OCs. But wait, I promise the updates are related to Imaginary Heroes, so please stick around. Alright, here you go. Now that we have the losers out of the way, updates. I'm sure you noticed in my commissions video, but I have channel sprites now. I wanted to make them for a long time, but I only had motivation to make them for the last video. But at least they're here now. It's my persona, a little bird harpy person thing. God, I feel so professional now. I even have a new microphone, which I think you could tell. I will be using my sprites and mic from now on in the future in any and all videos I upload, but especially voice projects and long form videos. I plan to make lots more and steer away from making shorts, which I only really did because I was lazy and not passionate about the channel for a moment. I'm sure you can also tell I have a new background. I drew it myself with some inspiration from Pinterest. I'm also practicing my editing skills, but I'm not very good at it yet. If you guys can recommend me some editing apps, I'd appreciate it. Right now I'm using VN and I stopped using CapCut because of their new AI policy, bleh. Again, I feel very professional and that's intentional. I'm trying to upgrade and be more professional. I'm going to be getting new upgrades in the future too. Anyway, I'm here on YouTube again and I'm here to stay. So new sprites and a microphone, so what? What's next? Well, when I said that I wanted to steer my channel away from shorts content, I mean that I want to steer my channel in the direction of OC content. I'm not sure how you guys will feel, especially since I rarely make OC content, but that's what I want to do now. My channel has been kind of directionless up until this point, and I liked it that way. No pressure to create anything specific. If I wanted to upload a video about sewing, I could. If I wanted to talk about my drawing process, I could. Post a million speed paints on YouTube Shorts? Sure. Redesigning characters and song covers? Absolutely. However, Imaginary Heroes and other OC stories, like Seeds, my other work in progress story about Chloe, have been on my mind for years, and I always wanted people to know about them and love them. I always wanted a community surrounding these characters and stories I've cultivated over many years, and maybe even make comics or shows about them, but I can't have those things unless I actually post about them, so I'm deciding right here and now that my channel will be OC and original content based. Of course I'll upload miscellaneous videos here and there, vlogs, speed paints, etc., but Imaginary Heroes and Seeds/Roots are my passion projects, and I want to actually make something out of them. The only reason I have 7k subscribers anyway is because of my one OC video that blew up. People love and care about these things and I want to care too. And so, what I'm planning to do from here on out is OC content, but what does that entail? I'm glad you asked. I have many big and little things planned. As for the big things, I have a big project planned that'll be a trailer for Imaginary Heroes. I'll try to recruit voice actors, animators, editors, and maybe even background artists if enough people want to join. Think of it like Clematis by Vivinos, which introduced Alien Stage. I'll put out a bunch of shorts telling people about my individual OCs, point them to this video so they know who they are, have voice claims for my OCs in those videos, and try to tell people about my big trailer project idea, and hopefully recruit people to work on it with me. It's kind of an out there idea, but I think it will work. Like I said, this is a passion project and I absolutely 100% plan on getting this story out there. While I wish I could make this trailer, which I'm very passionate about, I have to say, I'm going to college soon. While it's super awesome news, it will severely postpone any projects or small videos I have in mind, which is sad news. Unfortunately, I have to focus on college first. It's a main priority, and it's sad I only got serious about Imaginary Heroes just before I got to college, but that's the reality of my situation. And it's kind of funny that I'm complaining about needing to focus on college even though it's what I want to do. Don't mistake it, I do want to go to college, but I also want to work on Imaginary Heroes, so it's like, you know. Once August 17th comes, off to college I go, and maybe even work, so those will be my complete focus for at least 2 months, I'd say, maybe even more, or until I settle in and get comfortable enough to give love to my channel again. I'm going to try to get this video and maybe a couple others out before the summer ends, but once I'm in college, everything will be pushed back. I also hope people won't become disinterested in this channel once that time comes, but I can only hope. So a trailer for Imaginary Heroes in college? Okay. What other things do you have in mind for the channel? Well, that's my biggest idea right now, but it will come later. As I said before, there will also be more little stuff. Some of the little things I plan to post are little animations. Things like following animation memes and trends, fun little ideas I come up with, or tiny hints and nods at the Image story. Oh, and by the way, Image, IMGH, is the official abbreviation for Imaginary Heroes. Saying the full name is a mouthful, plus image goes along with the theme of the story, self-image. Discovering who you are and how you view yourself. Anyway, I also plan on doing interactive content. LC's doing Q&As, reacting to funny community comments, content and trends that viewers suggest, etc. I think that would be fun and help me to get my story and OCs out there, hopefully building a community surrounding them. By the way, if you have any questions about my OCs, please post them in the comments. It'll help my video on this channel so much. Please, I'm literally begging. And I would love to answer any OC questions that you have, even though I am going to be explaining my OCs here shortly. Other places where you can find my OC content are on Instagram. It's lilalo.777. I have it linked in my bio and I'll also put it in the description. I made the official lilalo777 account on Instagram specifically for OC drawings, as well as stuff surrounding my channel like sprites and general stuff I want to be associated with the Lilalo name. Right now, I have all 7 of my Image main characters and extra stuff up, so if you want to see those, which I'll also be showing in this video, please go follow me. It'll be such a huge help. If you want to see art that I don't upload to YouTube, please visit my account. I also plan to do design videos for Imaginary Heroes, such as designing the types of characters you see in their world, Thera. Videos about world building, designing background characters, figuring out what different regions of the planet look like, etc. I feel personally like I should already have those details figured out, especially since I'm planning on having people animate a trailer with me, for God's sake. But I decided to push the trailer back, possibly up to a year, due to me not only going to college, but also because I don't have all of the details figured out. And that's pretty obvious, seeing as I said I'd be making design videos to figure out the world, but it doesn't hurt to drive the point home. I've decided I'm not going to rush when it comes to Imaginary Heroes, and I'm going to work to make it something I can truly be proud of. Just to recap, I'm going to college soon, I'm going to change my channel to be more OC based, I'm going to make animations, animatics, and community based videos surrounding my OCs, and I have big projects planned for the future, including making a trailer for Image. I'm going to apologize in advance for the changes in sound since I'm more than likely going to record these on different days. Now that the updates are out of the way, let's get into the story and characters of Imaginary Heroes. What is Imaginary Heroes? Image is a fictional story that I created based off of a game me and my friends used to play. When I lived in a certain neighborhood as a kid, I lived next to 3 other kids, and me and my sister would visit them and play with them every once in a while. Pretty often, actually. One of them, whose name I will keep private for now, was a boy that me and my sister loved to play with. We decided one day to play a game where we would act as if we were existing characters, and we'd play as them. That friend, for example, I'll call him Ernie, liked to play Sonic and Sans a lot. I liked playing Kara, and my sister played Muffet. Yes, we played a lot of Undertale characters. Anyway, we would pretend these existing characters and other ones we randomly came up with would fight monsters and crime, saving people of a city. One day, I posed the question of what we should call our role-playing game. We all thought about it for a while on Ernie's trampoline, throwing ideas out there. Until finally, I was the one that said, what if we called it Imaginary Heroes? We're imagining these characters as heroes. And my sister and Ernie thought it was a really well-fitting name, and every time after then we played it, we would call it Imaginary Heroes. The characters we played as eventually shifted into being their own characters, and I even made a mini post-turn comic for them. Since then, Imaginary Heroes has been on my mind, and I've been trying to figure out a story that would be super cool and awesome that would incorporate our OCs that we projected onto them. And that's how Image was born. And because I loved that game and playing with what was at the time my two favorite people, it has turned into a passion project of mine, and I plan on having big projects involving it, maybe even turning it into an online animated series, maybe even bigger. Anyway, now that you know the story behind Image, let's hear the synopsis, then the characters. Imaginary Heroes is a story about a woman with two personalities. One wakes up during the day and one wakes up during the night. These personalities are called Lillian and Nightwalker. Having grown up with amnesia and not knowing who they are or where they came from, they learn to coexist with one another. As they grow up, they experience great injustices in their hometown and people using magic for power and greed. These injustices inspired the two to become heroes, killing monsters and stopping terrorists, hoping to inspire a change in people's hearts. All the while trying to figure out who they are and where they came from. One by one, other heroes join their group with a similar goal in mind, to purify their world Thera of monsters and the evil that is causing injustice. Nightwalker is one of the two main characters in my story and the leader of her hero group. Around 27 years old, she leads her team on missions and expeditions around the world to find and kill magical monsters that are terrorizing people and harming the world that they live in. She is the personality that wakes up during the night. She fights using magic through her staff, which is one of 3 different ways you can fight on Thera, but I'll go more into that later. She is really stoic and kinda mean, often getting mistaken for having a superiority complex for how often she says, "I know what I'm talking about. Listen to me and let's do my plan. I know best." She is often perceived as unlikable because she is sort of overbearing and can't stand having others view her as someone who didn't grow up with a harsh life, therefore not knowing her stuff. The worst crimes are committed in the dark, is what she believes. Having never seen full daylight and witnessing horrible atrocities in the shadows, she is very strongly opinionated when it comes to what to do in dangerous situations. She wants people to trust her and her plans because she thinks she's seen it all. She thinks she could prepare for every instance. Or rather, she's afraid she can't. Her friends think she's overbearing and stubborn because she only wants to do things her way and will get angry or antsy if you suggest otherwise. But truly, she's afraid of seeing people she cares about get hurt or deceived, like in her childhood. So, she strives to be as concentrated as she can be on how to keep everything in order, step by step, and therefore, keeping her friends safe. Nightwalker is a complicated woman, caring about your friends' safety to the point of making them feel unsafe around you. She's extremely focused on the idea of injustice. When she was a child, she'd see people get killed, robbed, swindled, and worse, all in the dark. She remembers her fear, her sorrow, her anger. She grew up a bitter and angry kid, bitter at the world, but also believing it could change. She would often act without thinking of her pair, Lillian, and end up getting them both stranded or hurt. When it comes to fighting, she almost always takes the lead, wanting to be the one to kill the beast or stop the criminal. In many ways, she's like Batman. She works in the shadows, being crowned the Nightwalker by those who find her fighting. She is extremely powerful when it comes to magic, one of the most powerful around her, and she wants to use that magic to eliminate her enemy personally. While she does have a real name, given to her by her and Lillian's adoptive mother, she prefers to be only called Nightwalker. She sees her hero name as her complete identity. She believes she exists on Thera to be a hero, and she's no one outside of that. She will tense up and glare at people who use her real name until they use her hero name. I think if I actually made a show about Image, people wouldn't like her, but she's multifaceted, guys, alright? She sees her friends as people to protect, but she barely interacts with them as people. She's emotionally closed off due to her bitterness and pent-up anger, causing her to distance herself from her friends. Times outside of fighting, she has no hobbies. She mostly spends her time making new plans for exploring the next area or destination, or helping citizens she finds in her current one. She often watches over her resting friends. It feels easier, safer to protect them instead of interacting with them. The one she's closest to is her second in command, Yushi. She has a complicated relationship with him, not sure of her emotions, and often pushes him away for fear of what those emotions could mean. Lillian is the second main character, a personality that wakes up during the day. The way she and Nightwalker work is that when the daylight starts to show, Nightwalker will simply start to get drowsy and black out. A couple minutes later, Lillian will wake up in her place. And yes, they do have one body and are exactly identical in appearance. When Lillian wakes up, she has no recollection of Nightwalker's memories or what happened while she was dormant, only having memories of her life whenever she's awake, and the same goes for Nightwalker. The key physical difference between the two besides their personalities is that Lillian needs glasses and Nightwalker doesn't. Lillian also can't use magic, but Nightwalker can. No one knows the reason why one needs something and the other doesn't, why one can use magic and the other can't, but that's part of the story and something that they're trying to figure out together. Lillian is not a hero in the traditional sense. Since she can't use magic, she utilizes her profound skills with knowledge, engineering, and tinkering to help her team from the sidelines. She helps by repairing armor mainly, but also repairs clothes and experiments with taking bits of magic and trying to embed them into everyday objects to see if they'll change or strengthen them. She is essential to the team when it comes to creation or repairs, also trying to craft new modes of transportation, new clothing designs that are more practical, and so on. Compared to Nightwalker, who doesn't have any hobbies and spends most of her time brooding, Lillian's hobby in particular is tinkering, and she takes pride in helping her team in her own way. She's likable according to her friends. She's energetic and has a contagious smile. She's very focused on her work, and her conviction is admirable. She's a good friend and is the type to give heart-to-heart advice. She's sincere and down-to-earth, a stark contrast to her other personality, almost quite literally night and day. As a child, roughly 11 years old, she experienced just as much, if not more injustice than Nightwalker did, mostly because people are out during the day. So she would constantly see pickpockets, fights break out, parents killed and children left alone, and even more. She hated it and wanted to create something that could be useful to the masses, something that would unite them together, something that could purify everyone. She spent her time with her nose buried in her books, looking at old pages to try and invent something new from them. However, her tinkering and people watching was often stopped by her and Nightwalker's adoptive mother, a bartender, Reverie Rev Leland, to get materials like fruits and food for their home and for the bartender's business. By the way, she's not in this video, the bartender I mean. I'll maybe do her in the next video if you guys want to see her. Although she and Nightwalker grew up under the care of Leland, she originally didn't want to care for them. By the way, I would be referring to Lillian and Nightwalker as them because I'm referring to the two personalities, not because they, them are their pronouns. Anyway, the very first time Lillian woke up and she realized she didn't remember anything, she walked through the less packed crowds in the streets, looking around not knowing where she was. She saw vendors, houses, businesses, and people who looked absent and depressed. She walked up to a bar, getting looks because she was just a kid, and sat down in a bar stool in front of the only bartender there, the owner. Leland raised an eyebrow and said, "You shouldn't be in here. Where are your parents?" Lillian shook her head with her arms on the counter, saying, "I have no idea. I don't remember anything." Leland, skeptical and not caring that much, sighed. I guess you can stay in here for now. And every day Lillian would linger around the bar, doing little tasks as Leland would watch her with a quiet eye. Eventually, she grew fond of Nightwalker and Lillian, taking them under her wing as a less than enthusiastic adoptive mother to a couple of rambunctious kids. Sort of like an aunt who doesn't like kids but grows fond of them over time. Lillian is confident in herself, having a strong sense of justice, just not nearly as strongly as Nightwalker. She uses her tools to help people in the everyday, the commoner. She does the heavy lifting domestically and locally, and Nightwalker does the heavy lifting on the battlefield in planning expeditions. Yushi is the third main character, a walking, talking skeleton, second in command in the group. He's classified as a cursed, but I'll go over that in another video. He's in charge of missions and fighting when Nightwalker is out of commission, taking charge and leading his teammates. No one knows exactly how old he is, and every time someone asks, he just chuckles, saying he'll tell them one day. He fights by spirit calling, which can look like animals, creatures, other skeleton beast spirits, and so on. But spirit calling magic does not summon dead relatives or anything, just animal creatures. Yushi is laid back and a jokester. He is always cracking jokes to keep the mood light, not wanting people to stress. You could describe him as nonchalant, but it's not completely accurate. He's chill, but can also be serious when it matters, and expresses other emotions when it counts. It just so happens he prefers to appear happy to his friends and keep them happy as well. He sees it as his duty as one of the leaders and as a friend to keep spirits up and make sure people don't lose morale. People see him as someone who doesn't care, but he's the one that pulls his friends away and asks them how they're really doing and letting them talk. He'll nod his head quietly while he smokes his pipe, even though he has no lungs, but he finds a way, making others feel heard without needing to say much. He's the backbone of the team, strong, reliable, and kind. He's well respected in the many towns and villages he's visited, seen as someone wise beyond their years. He has an air of being young at heart, but having an old soul. Even so, he's very mysterious. No one knows his story or where he's been. No one knows if he even has a family, any lovers, or where he originally used to live. Along with being laid back, Yushi is also very private. There always seems to be something on his mind, things he's reminiscing about that no one will ever seem to grasp. He wears clothes reminiscent of Japanese yukata, which will change in the future. I really only gave him these types of clothes because as I was making this design like 2 years ago, I didn't have a direction for the types of clothes I want Theorites to wear. However, you will notice here shortly that he has a wind chime, which is his weapon he fights with. All people who use magic to fight need to use a medium for their power to go through. Think of it like this. People can use magic without a medium, such as a staff for Nightwalker or a chime for Yushi, but it acts as an amplifier. You can throw water at people with your hands naturally, but it's much easier and does more damage to funnel water through a hose. You see what I mean? In Yushi's case, he uses a wind chime because they're from his home. He paints wind chimes and other glass things as a hobby, sometimes doing it for people without pay. He uses casual decorating and painting as a pastime as he smokes his pipe, relaxing and soothing his mind. His injustice he experienced was being dragged into a war he didn't ask to be a part of. He travels the world with Nightwalker and her team now, wanting to save people whose families are hurt by war, wanting people to be able to live relaxing, happy lives. The war he was a part of was so devastating that he now has a great sense of justice, making him a perfect fit for the second in command, along with his lighthearted personality. Although he won't reveal the details of the war that he was in or why he was dragged into it in the first place. Maybe he'll tell his teammates later on in their journey. As I said during Nightwalker's part, Yushi and her have a complicated relationship. He loves Nightwalker dearly and deeply, moved so much by her sense of justice and commitment to her cause. She was the one that started the hero group after all, and he was one of its earliest members. During the current story, they have known each other for about 4 years, and he falls in love with her gradually, even though he did have feelings for her in the beginning. Every action she takes makes him admire her more, and being a skeleton, he doesn't particularly need rest, so he's always there in the night with her. He knows the feelings aren't mutual, or at least muddled, but he continues to support her. He understands her as a person, giving her a lot of slack for her bluntness, but also speaks up when she steps out of line and is rude to one of their friends. He knows how to handle her, much to her dismay. Nightwalker cares a lot about Yushi, one of her few real friends, and Yushi has never met someone with such a spark in their eye for change, so he'll follow her every step of the way and try to achieve their dreams together. Juleka is one of the younger members in the group, around 20 to 22 years old or so, but I haven't decided yet. She's a spider person and what's called a Perial in my world, an animal person. She is the one who gives expertise in the land of Thera, knowing geography and cultural climate. Due to her knowledge, she's able to tell the group what they'll be up against next in the next area, and how they can prepare to deal with the people there. She's an expert in communications as well, being able to persuade people in her favor, and also one of the 2 people in the first Speed Paint comic I showed. She fights by summoning millions of little spiders that are venomous. This is called animal summoning, which is different from spirit calling, because you're calling on real animals and not just spirits of them. The 3rd type of fighting magic in Thera's world. Juleka is slightly cocky and boisterous, and has an air of being full of herself, which she kind of is. She's prideful and sure of her abilities, holding her head high and not stressing about difficult people or dangerous situations. She's definitely the loudmouth of the group, always yapping about being mad at someone or her clothes getting dirty. She's self-assured, and her confidence is evident in the way that she carries herself, and no one doubts how she feels about herself and her abilities. She's a strong woman, childish and has a short fuse at times, sure, but she knows what she wants and who she is. The injustice she experienced was that she used to be a princess without freedom. Seeing her family display excess greed, wanting precious jewels, wealth, and lavish foods disgusted her, and I mean truly disgusted her. In her eyes, seeing her family was like watching a bunch of pigs slobber on trash and cry out with delight, throwing things all across the room and claim that they are the spirits above all else. Out her window every day, she'd hold a glass of wine, watching the people of the kingdom below. She would partake in her wealth, but only because it was all she had known. Through her window, she'd see people in tattered and dirty clothes, then children and sickness everywhere. A thick wall surrounded her kingdom that she was to inherit, and any time someone would try to leave, beastly guards would block their way, forcefully pushing them back where they came from. Her subjects were suffering greatly and unable to leave, to be free and choose a life for themselves. They were trapped, a lot like herself. The only people allowed to leave were the farmers who cultivated food on nearby lands just for royalty, or the enslaved, forced along the protected path to mines to find precious gems that would decorate the wealthy's chalices. One day, Juleka's family's greed sickened her for the last time. She collected anything precious to her while shoving useless jewels and money into bags. She left her room and went up to each of the servants, tossing the bags into their hands and dismissing them with a wave. Go, leave, you're free now. And all her servants, now immensely rich and grateful, ran to the kingdom's gates. She walked down the halls with her head looking forward as thousands, millions of spiders flooded the palace and all the streets. Everyone, guards, commoners, and royalty alike, were terrified, and every single last person fled, unable to fight the tiny vermin. She left without looking back as well, for the very first time, stepping outside her kingdom's land. For a long time, she explored the wilderness and eventually went from town to town, village to village, clan to clan, learning about all the different lands she missed her entire life on. Due to her status and confidence, people would often not question her if she demanded answers of where she was or if she wanted something like food or money. She left almost everything behind, sure, but she wasn't clueless. She knew her clothes and money could get her what she wanted, and that's the only useful thing her despicable family ever taught her. She leaned into being kind the more places she visited, helping poor people by giving them jewels or freeing people from dangerous situations where they were trapped. She eventually found Nightwalker's hero group and joined it, wanting to bring justice to the world as well, and bring freedom to people. Juleka's friends were well aware of her cockiness and boldness, usually brushing it off or ignoring her because they understand that she is truly kind. She knows what it was like to be trapped, like a fly in a web, and she only wants to help others. She has a hard time expressing her true emotions and can mask insecurity with confidence, but if you look past her self-assured exterior, you'll see she's soft and loving. She's closest to Pixelite, who's a sweet girl. Juleka bonds with her due to them both understanding the other in their entirety. Although she'll never say that Pix is her best friend out loud, you'll see her smile softly and laugh when they're alone. And also, her hobbies are reading books that are horror mysteries and using her multiple arms to spin together intricate webs. Ghost Fox Killer, or GFK, don't worry, I'm gonna change that name, is a human roughly 30 years old, I haven't decided yet, and one of the older members in the group. She fights by spirit calling like Yushi, or with her two blades when she's up close. They're not katanas, I'm not quite sure what they are, but I'll figure it out later. She summons her 3 jade tigers, which are the spirits of her dead pets, and I'll talk more about them in a bit, to fight. She's the tank of the team, fighting with lots of brute force and strength. While the other members have more quote-unquote important roles, such as communications and geography, being the second commander, heck, even being the leader, she is still a great asset to the team. When Nightwalker is out of commission, her strength greatly helps Yushi fight, alleviating his responsibility for the team. She generally makes fighting easier for everyone, and her friends are grateful to her for that. She is quiet but not reserved. She knows when she needs to speak and doesn't make things complicated for herself or others. She is a voice of reason and holds an air of maturity around her. She is described as a great friend and an even better person. She will let you down softly and keep your emotions in mind. Compared to someone like Lillian or Juleka, who don't like to sugarcoat and will tell it to you straight, GFK will try to make you feel better about a problem and to provide a shoulder to cry on. She knows what she believes in and cares about her loved ones above all. If it means protecting her loved ones, she'll do just about anything. She holds relationships above everything and would give her life in an instant if it means they could live one more day. Even though she's typically calm, gentle smiles, and a comforting voice, she has her limits. She has a lot of patience, but if pushed too far, she'll snap and can end up hurting someone. This is due to the injustice she experienced. The injustice she experienced, which, take this backstory with a grain of salt, I'm planning on adjusting it, was when she lived in a clan. You see, on Thera, clans are communities you were born into, and typically a certain bloodline or family, basically what it means in real life. Ghost Fox Killer's clan and another clan have had high tensions for a while, even since when she was a kid. The two clans butt heads and glared at each other from across the way, and the one hers was feuding with was envious of what they had. Her clan, not particularly rich but plentiful and well polished, posed a threat to the other one. They were jealous of the precious items and materials they had, but what's more is her family seemed happy. There wasn't always a lot to go around, but that wouldn't stop them from laughing and having a good time. For a couple decades, the opposing clan tried to sabotage them, either their reputation or coming in at the night and stealing from them, thinking they were so happy because they were hiding something that could turn them all rich, not believing that people could be happy without being rich first. So, during the night, when GFK was in her early 20s, the opposing clan ambushed them. They set fire to village houses, knocking down statues, invaded community buildings, and ravaged people's homes. Unknowing of the ambush until it was too late, and not exactly the fighting type of clan, Ghost Fox Killer's family was unprepared. Many people were killed in their beds, the fire spreading to everyone and everything. Many died or suffered burns while the adults tried to fend off the attackers and fight back. GFK sprung into action as soon as she could. The greed and envy on the other clan's members' faces scared and angered her. She picked up her blades from her room her mother gifted to her and began to defend her clan. It was hot and overbearing. Dozens upon dozens of intruders she and the ones who were able to fight had to fend off. GFK suffered immense damage by the blades and fire, her skin burning and her flesh torn open. After a while, she was tired and in incredible pain. Weapons and magic in the air everywhere. Her 3 jade tigers who she grew up with, who were supposed to be her protectors, were dead. She saw them far away near buildings engulfed in flames, her childhood pets, dead. She saw the bodies of burned children scattered about, mothers and fathers unable to get them in time, dead. And as she was looking back in front of her, bringing her gaze back to the battlefield, she saw her strong and passionate mother get a blade infused with magic impaled in her chest, killing her brutally. She watched with growing horror as blood flew into the air, the attacker's face wicked and contorted, and finally, her mother's face, once filled with passion and a zest for life and her family, fell flat, her body following after it. Through the haze and whizzing embers in the sky, the screaming, the sizzling of fire, GFK's ears went silent. She heard no more, only feeling the fury grow in her chest and into her veins. She began to breathe heavily, her own blood dripping in her mouth, and gripped her blades as her vision glazed over. She spiraled into outrage, lunging at the other clan members with hatred, sinking her blades into their bodies, acting in a blind, heart-aching rage. Weapons of equal fervor attacked back, some piercing her and even some slicing open her face. She couldn't see anything, but she didn't care. Everyone she ever got to love and care about was dead or dying. She didn't care about anything but getting revenge. At some point, the fight ended and the fires fizzled out. It was morning, and the only way she could tell was the chirping of the birds around her. She was spent and now empty. She doesn't know what happened last, but that she can't see anything and everything hurts. Her body stung and felt like it was on fire from all the cuts and wounds, even though the fire died a long time ago. A certain someone came into the mess and saw GFK there, barely breathing, but alive. She came to when she heard the voice of Stardust, though at this point she didn't know who she was. She quickly tried to heal her burns and close her wounds, and a long time passed as Star tried to keep her awake and aware. She was still in pain and traumatized from losing her family, but after a while she could sit up again. She couldn't see or really move, but she could sit up. "Who are you?" "You can call me Star." From that point on, GFK and Stardust have been inseparable. GFK seeing Star as a little sister, someone to protect. She went back to being a calm person eventually, and a rock for the others. But she needs to be careful about her friends getting hurt, or else she'll fly into a blind rage again. She is overprotective of Star, but Star doesn't mind. She is shy and sometimes afraid to fight, so Ghost Fox Killer protecting her is fine in her eyes. Her injustice was her family got hurt because of other people's envy. Her hobbies are throwing pottery and mask making. You'll see her in her downtime, shoeless and in the dirt, smoothing out clay of her newest mask. Stardust is the sixth main character in Image. She's an alien. Yes, an alien. You'd assume in this world there'd be all types of supernatural creatures, and there are, but the term alien on Thera simply refers to anyone whose species or race isn't native to the planet. Star's race came from another planet and integrated and settled onto Thera's, so it makes sense why she'd be classified as an alien. She is roughly 25 years old, I haven't decided, are you seeing a trend here, and is the healer of the group. Weirdly enough, Therite magic doesn't include healing. Star's race is a valuable asset to Thera for distributing healing potions and magic remedies across the world, but I will go more into that in another video. For now, all you need to know is that healing magic isn't native to Thera, and so Star does the healing for the team. She is a shy and soft-spoken woman, but also very mellow. In her culture, it's commonplace to meditate, and before you use magic, you're expected to reach an inner peace. Zen, if you will. She is very calm and in touch with her soul, and you'll often see her meditating or relaxing. People often mistake her mellow nature and shy attitude for being a doormat, but that isn't true. She is the kind of woman who knows what she wants and has strong morals, even being so calm in stressful situations at times to the point where people judge her for it. How can you be so calm right now of all times? It's okay to show emotion, Star. She takes offense to these types of comments, seeing it as a diss on her culture. This is just the way my people deal with danger and stress. Do you have a problem with my culture? There's a strange dichotomy between these two parts of her shyness and the offense she takes to criticism. However, her friends see her as a kind and gentle soul. She will sometimes have a hard time saying what she wants to, but she remains calm and reminds herself that she can always have a good reaction to bad things. The injustice she experiences, yes, even to this day, is basically discrimination. You see, since she is an alien, Therites don't see her people as one of them. Despite her people having integrated into society decades ago, even 100 or so years ago, they still don't accept her people as one of them. This is in general, of course, not everyone discriminates against them, but most do. Due to the immense greed and hatred that is present on Thera, hate surrounding cultures are perpetuated, despite Thera being extremely diverse. Star's people have a section of the planet to themselves where most of them reside, so they aren't even that scattered throughout the land. But if you remember from Ghostfox Killer's section, people use and distribute the alien healing magic, but why if they hate them so much? Therites are mostly greedy people. If aliens can provide a service that helps everyone, Therites will use that service and discard the rest. Growing up in her culture, happy with all her siblings and cousins, she learned how to love others and reach inner peace. If you can reach peace within yourself, you'll always be able to react rationally to unkindness, dishonesty, and injustice. She learned slowly what that meant, but it wasn't long before she was on the edges of her land on Thera and faced hate from passers-by. She was only a kid, but people would snarl down at her and some threw sand in her face, laughing as she cried. Her older siblings and cousins tried to defend her, but the adults would take them away from the harshness of the Therites and tell them that it's okay. Someone will always hate you for no reason, but someone will always love you for many. Pay attention to the people who love you, and do good unto those who transgress against you, something her elders would always repeat. She grew up believing this and turning her head away from those who discriminated against her. If someone wouldn't sell to her, she'd just go to a different store. If someone tried to fight her just because they're mad she exists, she'll just go the other way. She knows and has taught herself better than to entertain fools with nothing but hate in their heart. Even though what she experienced in life wasn't nearly as harsh as the others, it was a constant reminder of the fact that she's different from everybody else. Not to mention, all her friends don't consistently face horrible things like she does. The discrimination persists even in current day. Many people wherever she goes turn their noses up at her, and she'd be lying if she said it doesn't get to her sometimes. Maybe it's even part of the reason why she's too shy to speak up at times. But she reminds herself of who she is and that where she came from is something to be proud of. Besides, if it wasn't for her people, Therites would still be using earthly medicine and trying to invent new ones. Her understanding of how it feels to be the victim of other people's hate allows her to help others. Her hobbies when not healing, meditating, or fighting are embroidery and sewing, pattern making, and repairing clothes. This also helps her bond with Lillian and even Juleka. The person she's closest to is, of course, Ghostfox Killer, seeing her as a sister and a best friend. To be completely honest, I haven't thought that much about Star's backstory and other details that much, so this all very much could change or be added to. And finally, last but not least, Pixelite, the 7th member of the hero group in Imaginary Heroes. Being a human and the youngest at around 22 years old, she is the informant of the team. She is hypersensitive to magical surges and pulses, so she is able to detect when monsters and beasts or even magicians are nearby. She lets the team know when enemies are close before they appear, where the enemies are going, and how powerful they are so they don't hurt anyone. She's interesting because she's a quote-unquote glitch on Thera. Mind you, Thera is very much not technologically advanced. Right now it's in those earlier stages of development, so digital media and technology don't exist, but she does. She can phase in and out of the world, going into her own plane of being called the digital world. In this digital world, she is able to put on her hero outfit and exist outside of space and time, unable to be harmed or affected by outside forces. The digital world has a sort of digital space theme, playing into her name, Pixelite. In this world, she can float and fly around, go anywhere she wants. At the bottom of the world is sort of like a pool where she can see the world or anything else under her. She slips into this world to sleep in peace and quiet, read books, and be alone. She can also fight real-life monsters in her digital world. When she transforms into her hero outfit, she also equips a ray gun, like in a video game, and can digitally fight real-life monsters. To anyone outside her world, since no one else can enter it, it looks like pixelated, sparkly, and colorful beams. But how is it a digital world when Thera doesn't have digital technology? Like I said before, she's a glitch, which could basically mean that she doesn't operate by Thera or the universe's laws. She operates on her own plane that only she can control. No one knows her backstory, and something is keeping her from sharing it. Whether it's amnesia like Nightwalker and Lillian, or severe trauma, no one knows. The furthest back Pix can remember is when she woke up on the edge of Thera's land, on a beach. She remembers the deep blue sand in the dark starry night sky. She was kneeling in the water, just past the shore, her hair flipped over her face and sopping wet. For some reason, when she looked up into space, it felt familiar, but she didn't know why, and she had no idea how she ended up in the ocean, on a beach. She was already wearing her signature green and yellow suit, not knowing how it got there either. It was humid and a little windy, and she was completely alone. She got up from the water, wobbly and a little tired, and started walking towards the sand, then the land. She searched for a long time on foot for any society, and the rest is a mystery. Eventually, of course, she joined the hero group started by Nightwalker and became everyone's friend. All anyone knows about her is that she is a cheery, peppy girl. She's always super hyper and smiles, always having fun and being a general golden retriever, which I'm sure you can tell from the speed paint. She is supportive of her friends and always trying to make them feel better, wanting everyone to feel happy and be okay. Ironically, she's very depressed, for many reasons. She doesn't remember where she came from, but every time she feels like she's about to remember, she clutches her head in fear and tries to forget. She forgets again, and the cycle repeats. She also doesn't feel real. Being a glitch means that she can phase through things at will and sometimes by accident. It makes her feel like she's not even part of the same world as her friends. She's something else entirely. She feels like that aspect of herself, which is practically her entire being, makes it hard to connect with her friends and act as if she lives the same life as them. She doesn't feel human, and that makes her wonder if she's even a girl at all, if she's just a thing. Kinda like Pinocchio. She is a girl though, and her friends treat her as such, but she keeps her feelings hidden for a couple reasons. The first being she doesn't want anyone to worry about her, and she wants everything to be happy and hopeful. The second is that she is left behind by the team. Everyone looks forward towards the next thing and never really asks Pix how she is or what she thinks and feels. She's kinda like an extra voice in the team, someone that they forget. She feels like everyone is a mile away, physically and emotionally, that no one cares about her or cares who she is. For some reason, the loneliness she feels hits close to home, a familiar feeling that she can't understand. She's often left to her own devices. She doesn't necessarily annoy the team, but she's treated more as an addition to it than a friend, and that worsens her depression and identity problems. She tries to cheer people up, a lot like Yushi, but again, treated like an extra voice. The only person that seems to care and her closest friend is Julika. Julika often checks in with her, grabs snacks for her, and stays up late chatting. And strangely enough, she's the only one that can reach her voice and arm into Pixelite's digital world. She can reach up and tap on Pix's shoulder, just her arm in the plane. She doesn't ask why it happens, but to Pix it means everything. Julika listens to her cry and rant when she starts to spiral, and although Julika has a hard time being vulnerable, she's always there for her. She doesn't always know what to say to comfort Pix, but she'll pull her in with a bashful face and rest her head on her shoulder. Pixelite is eternally grateful to have met her, and maybe is the only one who keeps her sane. The injustice she faces is that she can't exist on the same plane as everyone else, and gets treated as a tag-along rather than a real friend. I mentioned it a little bit before, but her hobbies include drawing, reading, taking walks, dancing, and listening to music. She likes to read comic books, but they only exist in her digital world and no one on Thera knows what a comic book is. She also listens to music in her digital world, completely different and more electronic than the music that exists on Thera. She often draws aliens and UFOs, and while the others said they've seen creatures just like the grand aliens she draws, she laughs because she knows that they're a fictional kind and that they've never seen one. She takes walks in whatever area they're in, taking in all the sights and sounds that she's missed out on for so many years. In her digital world, she is also able to fly to anywhere in the universe, and sometimes flies into space and looks at Thera from above just to pass time. She doesn't go anywhere else because the emptiness of space scares her, and she has friends on land. Plus, Thera's solar system looks unimpressive. She doubts she'll find any other life nearby. However, she is able to see things in a different plane that's all her own, so if she were to exit the digital world while she's in space or in the air, she can get hurt in natural ways. I'm sorry to keep saying this phrase a lot, but in her digital world, she's able to travel quickly by using a ship, reminiscent of a motorbike, zooming from place to place. This makes you wonder, why is she the informant and not the geographer? She can go anywhere she wants, so why not her? That's a good concern, and the answer is simple. Julika has had much more time to explore the world and become familiar with how it works, where things are, and the people who exist in those places. Pixelite is naive, and despite being the same relative age as Julika, a lot less mature. And that's due to her only existing consciously on Thera for roughly 3 to 4 years, which is the time of current day to when she woke up on the beach. And again, she feels magical pulses better than anyone else, so she's mostly in charge of warning when an enemy or magician is nearby. The diamond shaped on her chest is where she feels the pulses, almost like a heartbeat. This ties into something really interesting. Can you tell I love Pixelite and have thought about her a lot? Anyway, she really admires Nightwalker. She admires her conviction and dedication to her cause and beliefs. Due to Nightwalker's powerful magic she possesses, Pixelite feels the pulsing in the diamond shape on her chest and mistakes it for her heart beating. Since she's also naive, she can't really tell the difference. She admires Nightwalker, and that's all she needs to be convinced she has a crush on her. She often tries to hang around Nightwalker and get close to her and get her to like her. The pulse is getting faster the closer they are. Nightwalker being emotionally closed off and unable to be vulnerable hurts Pix a lot by pushing her aside and treating her just like anyone else in the group. Pix is almost obsessed with Nightwalker, and who wouldn't be in her position? Her heart beats like crazy when they're near. It'd be hard to ignore. The reason she doesn't feel exactly the same around Lillian is because she doesn't possess any magical powers at all. But Pix still does feel that childish crush when she's around her since they share the same face. But she sees Lillian more like a friend, and Lillian sees her as a friend as well. Well, those are the 7 main characters and imaginary heroes, and don't click off yet, I'm still gonna talk more. I really hope you guys like my characters and their designs. I don't think I said this before, but these designs and even stories are going to change once I figure out what Thera looks like and what the people on it look like. I will adjust everyone's designs to be cohesive and fit in the world instead of being all over the place. In my heart, everyone will still look like these designs that I have, but the change needs to happen. And almost everyone will get new names as well. If you guys are interested, I'll make another video diving into the character design choices that I couldn't fit into this video due to time. I love character design, and I wish I could have gone into my choices with them on this one. But in my next video, if everyone wants, I will talk about the world and what the map, regions, culture, people, magic system, and general world building are like, and also go into more depth about what the story is actually about. Also about what happened to Reverie Leland. I didn't go that deep into this video because I didn't want to give any spoilers, and I tried to keep character stories relatively spoiler free as well. Like I said, I'm going to college soon, in about 27 days as I'm reading the script, so I won't be posting on YouTube as much, as college will be a main priority. I will be somewhat active on Instagram though. Again, it's at lilalo.777 if you want to see more LC art. I'm sorry I couldn't go more into depth about things in this video, as I said many times. I really wanted to, but please tell me if you'd like to see more and I'll get started right away making a video of more details about my story. I hope others are just excited about imaginary heroes as I am. Thank you for watching if you stayed until the end, and please subscribe and turn on notifications if you'd like to see animations and character videos. Love you all, see ya!